Good morning and welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media for HAR, and I'm very excited to welcome back a returning guest to our program, Rania Mankarious, CEO of Crime Stoppers of Houston. Welcome back to the program, Rania.
Thank you. Good morning, Christina. I love being with you guys.
Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. We have a lot to discuss, including a new initiative, a new partnership between HAR and Crime Stoppers that we're happy to announce as well. Before we get into all of that, if we could, just for our viewers who haven't quite had the opportunity to hear from you yet, if you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Rania Mankarious. I'm CEO of Crime Stoppers of Houston. I've been fortunate enough to run Crime Stoppers since 2013. Came to Houston in 2004 from the Northeast. My background, I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy and went to law school. Love people and their stories, have a heart to protect families. And 365 days out of the year, every year, we are talking about public safety issues. This year's been a little unique actually for the last 2 or 3 years because the topics seem to have become political when we hate that. Public safety never used to be political. So we find ourselves in uncharted territory, but we're doing our best to navigate it and keep our ears on the community and our eyes on victims and our goal and focus on public safety for all.
Absolutely. And you really do. You pay attention to what the community is concerned about, and those are the issues that you tackle. And we're going to discuss some of those today for sure. Now, you mentioned a little bit about Crime Stoppers, but could you tell us a little more in detail? What does Crime Stoppers do, and what areas do you serve?
So, Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to solve and prevent crime in partnerships with citizens, media, and the criminal justice system. You know us through our tip line. Everyone has heard about the tip line. It's an anonymous reporting platform that just helps law enforcement get key information to then work and solve cases. But we also are very, very vocal and very, very prominent in crime prevention education. So we house the largest safe school institute. We train teachers and school administrators, kids, parents about everything touching school safety, student safety, from 5 years old and up. We are talking about every crime trend or issue affecting kids. We do the same thing in the community. We're talking about everything from animal cruelty to human trafficking to home invasions, bank robberies, safe shopping, scams. Right now, I'll jump off the show with you and do a radio interview in Miami talking about scams around Ukraine and people who think they're donating money for a good cause when they're really getting scammed. So we work around the clock really to just keep communities safe while we work hand in hand with law enforcement to solve some of the largest felony crimes. So we deal with felony crime primarily. And as I said, it's a 24 hours a day, 7 day a week job. But we're really thankful to do the work we do. We have partners in every nook and cranny of Houston, Harris County. We now train most schools and school districts across the state, and just partnered with the Just Keep Living Foundation and so many other incredible organizations to reach kids across the globe, really.
That's wonderful. And we're very thankful for that work you do as well. So, we recently announced a joint rental scam initiative. We had a press conference that we live streamed last week. But, Rania, could you tell us a little bit about it and what is the goal there?
Yeah, so rental scams are on the rise, and it's really a really unique situation where you have an actual rental scam, a rental listing,
Mm-hmm.
and a scammer, because these scammers are creative and they're always working, will copy that listing, repurpose it for on a third party site like let's say Craigslist or something like that, where they'll heavily discount the listing. They'll have all the wonderful pictures, all the incredible description. They'll heavily discount the listing, secure your donation, your security, your deposit, and you'll never hear from them again. They take your money and they run. And so this is a really hard thing. If you think of somebody, and listen, you guys you know this better than anyone else. A person looking to rent a home or buy a home, it is such an emotional decision. There is a lot of hope. There are dreams. There's goals. There's ambitions that hover around this decision. thoughts about your children, where they'll go to school. There's so much that pours into this decision. And it's probably one of the most expensive investments you're going to make
Mm-hmm.
in your lifetime, or at least in that moment of your lifetime. So to be taken advantage of at that moment to us is unconscionable. So we've partnered with HAR, with you, with Clear Channel Outdoors to really get the message out. We want people to understand that this is happening. Look for the red flags. If it's too good to be true, it is. If they're asking you for money up front without you seeing it, that's a red flag. If they're asking you to PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, that's odd. I recommend, if they're insisting on money up front and you're sure it's a reputable organization, put it in an escrow account. Do not wire it to them directly. Put it in a third party account where you have access and you can get it back. But ultimately, this is an example of information can really mitigate the criminal activity and can be your best shield and your best defense for being taken advantage of.
Wonderful. Thank you for explaining that. As you were explaining that, I saw several thumbs up and hearts coming in. So I know this is something that our members are also obviously very passionate about. I'd be curious, for those who are watching this, let us know if you've experienced this, if you've experienced this with one of your listings or one of your clients. I think the more stories we hear, the more awareness there is, the more that realtors can help and protect those consumers from people that are doing this and they're targeting rental consumers. Now, Rania, we also, the billboard and the campaign is also in Spanish. Do we find that this is happening with non-English speaking consumers more often, or just as the same, or how is that
My little
happening?
billboard here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are. We're seeing that minorities are primarily targets for this. Um, my parents were immigrants to this country in the 70s, and you come here hoping to make a life, and as I said, build on this dream. You're desperate to get a home. You don't understand the system and the way things work, and you become an easy target. So if we can get the information out, of course, we're getting it out in Spanish, but in other languages as well. If we can go into different communities and share this public safety information, I can't imagine one person that would say that wasn't time well spent, especially when you're thinking about people losing hard earned dollars for something so precious as finding a place to rest their heads and build a life for them and their families.
Yeah, wonderful. Then I do see a few of our members saying this happens. They see it on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Samantha made a comment that she had it happen with a listing. The home was for sale and it was marketed as a rental. Luckily, the renter drove by and saw the home for sale and called the number that they saw on the sign. So, in that case, they were saved. But this is a wonderful initiative, and really is designed to bring that awareness, as you said, to consumers so they don't get caught up in one of these scams and are out all tons of money. So
Yes.
thank you for sharing that with us, and of course thank you for partnering with us on it, because this is something that I think both of our organizations are very passionate about.
Absolutely. It's an honor to partner with you guys. So we're thankful to you.
Thank you. Switching gears a little bit here, we want to talk about just the bail system. It seems that everyone agrees that there's a problem with the bail system, but with that in mind, why don't you believe that it's changing?
So it's such a complicated issue, but it's also really not that complicated. In 2016, Crime Stoppers, the DA's office, really everyone in the law enforcement space agreed that bail, and by the way, this is Texas Constitution dictates bail should not be punitive, which means that you shouldn't use bail as a tool to punish somebody and hold them pretrial, longer than is necessary, or
Mm-hmm.
in a way that is really unconscionable or unconstitutional. So when you looked at misdemeanor cases or non-violent crimes, first-time offenders, to have person A be held pretrial because he or she can't afford the bail, whereas person B, who may have commit the same exact low-level offense, walking
Mm-hmm.
off because he or she can commit the bail, seems wholly unfair. And we all agreed there was a lawsuit, and the lawsuit was decided in favor of that notion that bail in those cases is unconstitutional, and it really denies people their freedoms and liberties, and everyone agreed. The problem is that that case was decided and around 2019, and we started to see the same thinking being applied in the most violent felony cases.
Mm.
And no one intended for the argument to go that far. So when Crime Stoppers, for example, we would be sitting there looking for, let's say, John Smith, who committed an aggravated robbery. That's what we do through our tip line. And law enforcement would have found John Smith, and we'd say, okay. And then 2 months later, we were looking for John Smith again, but this time for a capital murder. And we'd say, wait, didn't we just find John Smith on an aggravated robbery or whatever the case may be? And so we said, something's going on here. This doesn't make sense. And we started to monitor and really study this revolving door of criminal justice. So how are these really violent people, capital murderers, rapists, aggravated people with ag assaults, etc., how are they committing these violent crimes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times within a span of 6 or 8 months sometimes? How is that happening? And we realized again that thinking of, bail should never be punitive, we're just going to let everybody out, was being applied in those cases. And so we said that wasn't the intent. To give you an example of this, as I said, the Texas Constitution defines bail, says it shouldn't be punitive, but it also says that judges have discretion to hold someone who's charged with capital murder on no bond, meaning they're staying in jail pre-trial until the case is underway. Usually judges would do that. They'd say, in a capital murder case, I'm sorry, you're going to be held on no bond. Today in Harris County, we have over 113 people. That's just what we can find charged with capital murder running around in our neighborhoods and in our communities. Here's the thing. Criminal justice needs to be looked at. It needs to be examined from top to bottom, but we also can't make the system a complete joke. The slide you're looking at right now is just the result of our work. 160, now we're actually at 166 innocent people have been killed because we are, as a society, as the criminal justice system today, is just routinely releasing the most violent defendants. You're arrested, 8th time, you're out on your 8th bond, that's okay. You're arrested and you're released right back into the community. And then we wonder why our crime rates gone up or why our murder rates gone up. It's not rocket science. Yes, there are many factors. Yes, it's a complicated system, but this is certainly one, if not the largest leading issue. And unfortunately, it's become political when really we should just throw out the politics, look at the victims, look at the best interests of our community and address this. And I'll also say this, Christina, routinely releasing defendants doesn't do any favors for them either. Their crimes escalate. Eventually this will catch up with them. And we're not doing them any favors. And I promise I'll end on this. We also believe we're an organization that's in the schools, kindergarten through 12th grade. We do not want kids to choose a life of crime. We are doing everything we can to make sure kids don't go through the cradle to prison pipeline. We're working with other nonprofits, making sure there are no food deserts, there's healthcare, there's housing, there's jobs, there's opportunity. As a society, we're doing everything we can. Of course, we can always do more, but to make sure that no one finds themselves saying, I have no other choice but to commit crime. So we have to have compassion, but we also have to have reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for going through that. And I should mention that we just showed one slide, but Rania put together several slides for us, and they really, some of the numbers in there, they're alarming. Extremely alarming. There's no other word for it. And we will share the link to those slides. She's agreed to share those with us, so we will share the link to those slides for anyone who's interested in taking a deeper look into the real numbers of what Rania's discussing with us this morning. So thank you for going through that with us. And of course, thank you for allowing us to share those slides with our members that are interested. And we'll talk a little bit more later about how realtors can get involved with Crime Stoppers, because I'm sure some of them that are watching this right now are saying, what can we do? So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I wanted to just address with you, we recently had Mayor Sylvester Turner on our program, and he announced his 4-part safety initiative. What are your thoughts on the safety initiative? Do you believe we're headed in the right direction?
I want to say what I've always been saying about this mayor. He's doing a great job when it comes to public safety. A lot of the issues we're facing right now are, the mayor of any big city is always the first target, the first person to blame. But in this case, it's not correct. A lot of the issues we're talking about with bail and bond, they're stemming from the county side. So I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just helping people make a
Hmm.
distinction that we need to address those properly and respectfully and with great, admiration, but on the county side. The mayor's doing what he can to increase cadet classes. He's doing what he can to recruit officers. He's paying officers overtime. He works aggressively with his police chief, Chief Finner. They're in every community you can imagine. Um, they work with Crime Stoppers. I mean, he's constantly thinking about how to address this issue. And I think, I really was proud to stand with him and with, all the representatives on stage during that press conference,
Hmm.
because I think at the end of the day, again, a great example. It didn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. There, honestly, when it comes to public safety, I don't know who cares about that other than
Right.
those running for office. The community doesn't. There isn't one victim that says, hey, does it matter that I'm a Republican? Or hey, does it matter that I'm a Democrat? Or hey, it's
Hmm.
okay, you're going to kill me because we're both the same party. Nobody cares about that. You know, Mayor Turner's done a great job tossing the politics aside and really doing what he can to help under his jurisdiction and within his capacity, to help, Houston. And I'm very proud of what he's doing.
Very good. So, how can realtors help? How can we get involved with Crime Stoppers and help you? I mean, obviously, this is one of many different initiatives that you are behind, but public safety is a number one concern. And as you know, our members are out in the field every single day. So, how can realtors help Crime Stoppers of Houston? What ways can they get involved?
Well, let me start by saying when I moved here in 2004, HAR was the first site that introduced me to Houston, and I was on it religiously every day, all day. And after we found a place to live, I was still on HAR every day, all day. You all are an army of representatives. You're an army of ambassadors for the city of Houston or for Harris County. And whether you've grown up in Houston or you're just moving, whether you're here to build a home in a future or you're here temporarily for a job assignment, you all are the gatekeepers. We're asking you the questions. We want your guidance. We want to know your insights. You're the experts. So it's I was a person who asked about public safety and what the schools were like, but I know everybody else asks you those questions as well. So we have a lot of free resources. We would love for you all to share them. We've had real estate agents before call us and say, look, I have a client that's looking to purchase property, right, and they'll give us literally the coordinates and say, can you give us some information about that part of town? And we'll pull information for them. We have information about how the schools can stay safe, how people can get involved. We as an organization share information, and so we'd love to share that information with you all, an army of ambassadors for the city and county.
And that's wonderful because we do have members sometimes that are looking for resources. So it's good to know that we can point them to Crime Stoppers for some of those resources. So thank you for that.
Of
I
course.
Yeah, and I wanted to have you mention your another recent accomplishment of yours is the book you recently released. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
My heartbeat. It's so odd that I happen to have it right here, my little heartbeat. Yes. So last for end of fourth quarter last year, I finally released this book. It's The Online World: What You Think You Know and What You Don't, Four Critical Tools for Raising Kids in the Digital Age. This book came out of years and years of research, years and years of talking to young kids that have said, I found myself in a horrible place online and I do not know how to get out. I do not know where to go from here. Years and years of talking to parents that say, I'm pulling my hair out from the technology. I do not know how to keep up with it. I'm trying to monitor everything, but like all of us, we have full-time jobs or we have other kids, we have lives. It's impossible. And then years getting into lively discussions with other experts who say, you know what, the online world is just so dangerous. Kids have to stay off. And as a mom of three, it's not realistic. And no matter
Hmm.
what your position is, technology will find its way into your children's lives, especially in this post-COVID world. So I felt it was time we had a roadmap. We had a set of rules and tools and conversations that parents will absolutely understand. And kids will literally be like, oh my gosh, I get that. I buy into that. That will grow with our kids for whether they're 8 or 28.
Mm.
And I'm very proud of the book. It launched #1 on Amazon in a few different categories, and it's gotten some national attention. The foreword was written by Dr. Laura Berman and Sam Chapman. Laura Berman, of course, a very, very famous Oprah, family therapist, and who lost her son Super Bowl Sunday. Good kid, Sammy, 16 years old, didn't think anything of it when he bought it. He thought he was buying a Xanax. Online, 15 cents via Snapchat. All his friends were buying it. They weren't drug users by any means. They were just young boys home with COVID experimenting, and they didn't think anything of it. His pill was laced with fentanyl. He died instantly in the home. And the Bermans and Sam Chapman said, we realized instantly how dangerous the online world was and how many parents just don't fully grasp it. And so my position is, we're not going to tell you not to be online, but you're going to have conversations you've never had with your kids, and you will have a roadmap. I cover 2.2 million apps with 16 rules. So that covers it all. You will have a roadmap to keep yourself and your family safe from here on out.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And like you said, it is, as a parent myself, it is overwhelming to try to protect them from all of these different avenues. 2.2 million apps, as you said, so 16 rules to follow. A lot easier to tackle, to say the least. I did want to go back just quickly. The Rental Scams Initiative, we forgot to mention har.com/tips. There's information in both English and Spanish, and that is also where you can report rental scams. But of course, we've also posted the links to the crimestoppers.org website, where people can check out resources and various things there as well. Well, Ronnie, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our members this morning?
No, I just want to thank you all for the work you do. We're so proud of any partnerships with HAR. Truly, I have an emotional connection to you all, and we thank you for what you do. And again, we're here for free resources for anything you need.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And just a reminder that Tuesday, March 1st is primary election day. So if you didn't take part in the early voting for primaries, be sure to get out to the polls on Tuesday and take part in your voting in the primary elections. So that is it for this Member Focus Monday. We will be back next Monday at 9 a.m. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.